Welcome to Tales from the Switch Vault, where I, Jim, look back at some of the weird and wonderful games from the Nintendo Switch. This time I get pretty lost in Firewatch. Created by San Francisco studio Campo Santo, the game came to PS4 and PC in February 2016, made the jump to Xbox One later that year before coming to the Nintendo Switch in December 2018. It was an ideal game for the on-the-go system and was critically well received. Firewatch is a first-person adventure game set in the late 80s in Wyoming. Playing as Henry, you are tasked with manning a Firewatch tower for the summer and keeping the area safe. You use a radio to talk to Delilah, your boss who is in the next tower along. Here, your conversations with her keep the story going, and she assigns you tasks for you to go out and accomplish in the area. Exploration is the core mechanic here, leaping over logs and down rock faces, whilst finding items like rope to help you traverse even more. Upon spotting something like a campfire, you use the radio to call it in and see what's next. It's actually a really fun game that gives you visual clues, such as fireworks in the distance, and asks you to figure out how to get there. The map and the compass are key to getting around. It's a very chill game, having you slowly explore around to begin to dig into the mysteries of the area. It really helps that you are limited to where you can go at the start, and the game is broken up into separate days. This makes each trip out an adventure, and one where you have to get back to the tower each night, safely. I love how this game looks. It's absolutely stunning at times. The lighting in particular is spectacular. Seeing the blood orange of the sun setting over the mountains, and then that's bleeding through the trees is incredible. I took so many screenshots replaying this. Even the twinkling stars are beautiful. Its design style is very striking, and I think they nailed it by setting it in the 80s. The items you interact with are very cool and quite lo-fi, such as the map or the walkie-talkie. It'd be a very different game if you had access to a mobile or live satellite maps. Even the posters look like they've been taken straight out of the park. The trees and foliage look great, but I love the tower, which is in slight disrepair and has random fixes on it. You actually grow a strong affinity to it, in particular when you need a visual clue to get home. The sound, music and voice acting are all great. The first two are masterminded by Chris Remo, who has scored the soundtrack from Gone Home. He has also worked as a journalist, tester and games designer. His music is very pared back, solo guitars or a piano twinkling to create a chilled background to your exploration. It works so well with this game. As it so often seems to be the case, the in-game sounds are great too. I love the swirling wind as you stand on top of the watchtower or hearing the birds squawking in the distance. The standouts though are the voice performers. Richard Sommer and Cece Jones. Sommer plays Henry and is most known for his TV work on such shows as Mad Men and Regular Show, alongside a few games including LA Noire. Jones, however, is the standout video game voice actress, working on massive games such as Horizon Zero Dawn, Baldur's Gate 3 and Fallout 4. She is brilliant in Firewatch and won Best Performer at the Video Game BAFTAs in 2017. Together they have fantastic chemistry and you really buy into their working relationship. What hooked me in was the navigation. It's wonderful and really refreshing compared to other exploration games. Top tip, turn off the mini-map icon and using landmarks, the map and compass to get around is so rewarding. Paths with sign litter the world, though they are often overrun with grass, making things harder to figure out. Caches can be found around the world, which contain maps with routes that can be copied to your own, alongside useful items such as rope that can traverse down sheer cliff edges. It's funny as you have this giant tower as your home and point of reference, but within seconds of setting off, the trees cover it up. It's so easy to get lost, and that's fantastic in a game like this. You don't need to eat. There seems to be no risk of you being attacked, so you can take your time getting around. Even the dialogue comes back in here, with Delilah giving repeated and more detailed instructions on where to go, though with more exasperation each time. How this title really stands out though is the writing and story. The dialogue is excellent and refreshingly mature compared to most video games, and that's not just because of the swearing. It's grown-up writing about grown-ups, with relevant and dark themes that will touch upon us all at one point or another. I cannot think of another video game story that straddles 14 years just told across a few minutes. It's exceptional. And it all kicks off with an incredible opening sequence, giving the player dialogue options of Henry's relationship with Julia as they start dating. As with any story, I don't want to spoil it, but it gets dark fast. I can only compare it to the opening of Pixar's Up film. It's that sad and moving. Well, for me anyway, as it gives you some simple branching options. It's possible you stumbled through something you can relate to. Without spoilers, damn dog. That whole sequence just sets up the plot, with Henry trying to deal with his decision in the wilds of Wyoming. Here, the dialogue shifts to his relationship with Delilah, letting the players choose the tone in responses to her as you go about the tasks she sets. It's a prickly and nuanced rapport between the two, one that grows on you as you go. You need to experience it, but serious moments are cut through with moments like Henry pretending to have fallen and getting called out for it. It's very funny. On the Switch too, it seems to run a lot better, a far smoother frame rate, and it looks great with much sharper edges. No console specific patch, but brute force performance is good enough, though it still looks incredible on the Switch 1 OLED. Firewatch comes in at around 4 or 5 hours long, depending on how lost you get, and it's pretty much a one and done game, but it's an ideal summer title, particularly if you're not going away yourself and want a little escapism. And with that length, it can be done in a couple of sittings, which means it's great over a weekend. After beating the game once, it unlocks free roam and the audio tour mode for those wanting to discover more. Campo Santo was an indie studio based in California, created by 4 people back in 2013. 2 of them, Sean Vanneman and Jake Rodkin, were the co-writers on the critically acclaimed The Walking Dead game from Telltale Games. Having grown too comfortable in his role, Vanneman got Rodkin to leave the studio together and start their own, Campo Santo, alongside designer Nels Anderson, who worked on Mark of the Ninja, and the prolific graphic artist Ollie Most. His career spanned film posters for Thor, the Harry Potter digital book covers, and more recently at Valve working on Half-Life Alyx. The team soon grew to 12 people, and with the backing of Panic, a publishing company, work began on their debut game. Taking inspiration from New Deal advertisements alongside icons from the National Park Service, the team took a camping trip to Yellowstone National Park, visiting a preserved Firewatch tower. By March 2014, they announced the game with the aim to launch in 2015. It didn't launch until 2016, but was a huge success. They then began work on a new game that would not be a sequel to Firewatch. In the Valley of the Gods was to be a first-person adventure set in Egypt as you chase treasure. However, the company was bought by Valve in 2018, and the team members moved on to work onto other games, and in 2019, In the Valley of the Gods was put on hold. Though still listed on Steam, it's unclear whether this game will ever get made. Across 2016 and 2017, Firewatch was nominated for a load of awards, most notably winning Best Indie Game at the Golden Joysticks, Best Debut and Best Narrative at GDC, and Debut Game at the BAFTA Game Awards. The game has an excellent 87 on Metacritic for the Switch version, and by 2018 has gone on to sell over 2.5 million copies across all platforms. It's funny playing this a second time almost 10 years after the first time, way back on my PS4. My memories are a little hazy of the game, but what stuck with me were the fate of the dog and how much of an X-Files-like adventure it felt. What weird things are there out in the woods? But playing now in my late 30s, it hits so damn hard. It's absolutely heartbreaking to see this relationship build up and then, well, fall apart isn't right, deteriorates so much. You are mostly given a couple of choices in the initial dialogue, by the end they're all bad. It's not you, it's Henry, but still. I remember the dog's fate, but now all I can think about the people as their worlds fall apart. It's utterly compelling, an absolute masterpiece in storytelling. As for complaints, the lack of gyro controls is disappointing, particularly when you're picking up so many items. It really finessed this side, though it's not a deal breaker. Actually, there are quite a lot of useless items in the game. It's a shame it doesn't run the best on Switch 1, but it's mostly bearable when exploring. The load times, though, are far too long when booting up. Also, it's not a bad thing, but 4 save slots is a little peculiar. Anyway, it's great, and anyone with a mild interest in a great story should put this on their list to play. It's wonderful, and for all the sad moments, it's genuinely very funny. As for the team, I really hope they can make another game together. They obviously had something special here, and I'd love to see where they could take it. Here's hoping. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe for more weekly Nintendo Switch video game essays, and comment below which video game story is your favourite. Right, time to get spelunking.